The 1980s were a strange and fascinating chapter in British motoring history, a decade where bold ambitions collided with struggling manufacturers, and genuinely interesting cars slipped through the cracks of public memory. Most people today could not name half of these machines, and that is a shame. Some were innovative, some were beautifully styled, and a few were simply ahead of their time. Today on Britain Rewind, we revisit 10 forgotten British cars that deserved better. Subscribe if you love stories like this, because number 1 on this list will genuinely catch you off guard. Let us begin with number 10. Number 10, Austin Maestro. The Austin Maestro arrived in 1983 with genuine fanfare from British Leyland, who believed they had built something capable of taking on the Ford Escort and Vauxhall Astra. In many respects, the foundation was solid. The Maestro offered a spacious 5-door body, a practical interior, and a range of 1.3 and 1.6-litre engines. But the feature that truly set it apart was its talking dashboard, a synthesized voice system that verbally alerted the driver to mechanical issues. For 1983, that technology felt genuinely remarkable. And this is where things get interesting. Buyers did not share that enthusiasm. Many found the voice unsettling, and the lingering reputation of British Leyland for poor build quality worked against the car from the very start. The Maestro soldiered on into the early 90s but faded from cultural memory almost completely. Some dedicated owners still love them. Would you consider owning one today? Number 9, Triumph Acclaim. Number 9 carries a genuinely bittersweet story. The Triumph Acclaim launched in 1981 as the last car ever to wear the Triumph badge, a name that had represented some of the most celebrated British sports cars of the post-war era. But the Acclaim was not a sports car. It was a compact family saloon based on the Honda Ballard, assembled at the Cowley plant in Oxford as part of British Leyland's first joint venture with Honda. And here is the strange part, it was quite good. Reliable, refined, and better built than most British Leyland products of that period, the Acclaim earned positive reviews and reasonable sales. The 1.3-litre Honda engine proved dependable in a way buyers had long stopped expecting. But none of that could save the Triumph name. Production ended in 1984, and the badge disappeared from British roads. A quietly moving end to a legendary mark. Number 8, Reliant Scimitar SS1. Reliant Scimitar SS1 genuinely surprises people when they first encounter it. The Reliant Scimitar SS1 launched in 1984 as a lightweight 2-seat roadster, built to breathe new life into the Scimitar name. Styled by Italian design house Michelotti, it had a distinctly angular appearance that divided opinion from day one. Available with a range of Ford engines, beginning with a modest 1.3-litre unit and eventually gaining a turbocharged 1.8-litre Nissan engine in the SS Turbo variant, it delivered around 135 brake horsepower through a light fiberglass body. In the right conditions, it was genuinely entertaining to drive. But unreliable electrics, patchy build quality, and Reliant's unfortunate association with three-wheelers made it a difficult sell to serious buyers. The SS1 deserved a far wider audience. Some enthusiasts still consider it one of the most overlooked British roadsters of the decade. And there are more overlooked gems still to come on this list. Number 7, Austin Ambassador. Austin Ambassador is almost completely forgotten today, and that perhaps tells its own story. The Austin Ambassador arrived in 1982 as a restyled evolution of the older Princess, positioned by British Leyland as a comfortable rival to the Ford Cortina and Vauxhall Cavalier. In fairness, the Ambassador was genuinely roomy, with a smooth ride courtesy of the distinctive Hydrogas suspension system and a generous, well-thought-out interior. The 1.7 and 2.0-litre O-Series engines were competent rather than exciting. But what happened next was almost inevitable. Persistent quality issues and relentless pressure from superior European and Japanese rivals left the car struggling badly from the outset. British Leyland quietly discontinued it in 1984 after just 2 short years in production. Very few survive today. The Ambassador was the sort of car people drove daily but nobody ever really talked about, and perhaps that was always its greatest and most enduring problem. Number 6, Rover SD1 Vitesse. Rover SD1 had genuine greatness within reach. The Rover SD1 had already won European Car of the Year in 1977, and when the Vitesse arrived in 1982, Rover had fitted a fuel-injected 3.5-litre V8 producing around 190 brake horsepower. That delivered a 0 to 60 time of under 7 seconds, genuinely impressive for a large executive saloon of that period. But here is what many people have forgotten: the SD1 Vitesse was also a dominant competitor in the British Saloon Car Championship throughout the mid-1980s, taking on and frequently beating far more expensive machinery. On the road, it was handsome, fast, and characterful. Persistent electrical gremlins and quality concerns eventually damaged its standing with buyers. The Vitesse deserved to stand alongside the great British performance saloons of its era. Do you remember seeing one on a British motorway in those years? They were a remarkable and genuinely memorable sight. Number 5. MG Metro 6R4. And this is where things get truly extraordinary. The MG Metro 6R4 was developed in 1984 specifically for Group B rally competition, and it remains one of the most remarkable cars ever built on British soil. The name stood for 6-cylinder, rally, 4-wheel drive, and the entire project was developed in collaboration with Williams Grand Prix Engineering. A mid-mounted 3.0-litre V6 engine produced around 250 brake horsepower in road specification, considerably more in full competition form. The bodywork was pure aggression: wide arches, enormous cooling vents, and a silhouette that bore almost no resemblance to the humble Metro it was technically based upon. Group B was banned entirely in 1986, ending the 6R4's competitive career before it could fulfill its potential. Surviving examples now command serious money at auction. Some enthusiasts argue it remains the most important British competition car of the entire decade. They may have a very strong point. Number 4. Panther Kallista. Panther Kallista steps into genuinely rare territory. The Panther Kallista launched in 1982 as a retro-styled, two-seat open roadster, hand-built by Panther Car Company at their facility in Byfleet, Surrey. It was unashamedly nostalgic: long bonnet, exposed cycle-type wings, flowing aluminium panels, designed to capture the spirit of pre-war British motoring for buyers wanting something entirely different from the mainstream. Ford engines powered most variants, with a 1.6-litre unit in the base model and a 2.8-litre V6 available for those wanting genuine performance. The Kallista never tried to compete with mass-market manufacturers. Instead, it offered something rare in the increasingly corporate 1980s: individual craft and real character. Production ran quietly through the decade in very limited numbers. Most people today would not recognize one if it passed them on the road, and that in its own strange way is precisely what gives this car its enduring quiet appeal. Number 3. TVR Tasmin. TVR Tasmin marked a genuinely pivotal moment for a British marque that would later achieve legendary status. The TVR Tasmin launched in 1980 as the company's first wedge-shaped sports car, designed entirely in-house and replacing the older curved body styles that TVR had produced through the previous decade. It was initially offered with a Ford 2.8-litre V6, later gaining a 3.5-litre Rover V8 in the potent 350i variant, which produced around 190 brake horsepower in a body weighing just over 1,000 kilograms. In coupe form, the Tasmin looked genuinely dramatic, sharp, angular, and focused. TVR's small Blackpool factory naturally limited production volume significantly. But the Tasmin laid the foundations for everything remarkable that followed from that extraordinary company. Without the Tasmin, there is no legendary TVR range of the decade that followed. An important car that history has been somewhat unkind to. And number 1 is still on its way. Number 2. Lotus Excel. Number 2, and perhaps the most underrated Lotus of its generation. The Lotus Excel launched in 1982 as a development of the earlier Acclaim, built in partnership with Toyota specifically to address the reliability problems that had long damaged Lotus's reputation. Toyota contributed the gearbox and rear axle components, which dramatically improved everyday dependability in a way previous Lotuses had rarely managed. The Excel used a 2.2-litre twin-cam Lotus 912 engine producing around 180 brake horsepower, and it handled with the sharp precision the marque was famous for. Beautifully proportioned, low, and aerodynamically clean, It looked genuinely special. But Lotus's troubled financial reputation in the early 1980s, combined with a price that placed it directly against more prestigious German rivals, kept sales disappointingly modest throughout. Production continued until 1992. Overlooked during its lifetime and still underappreciated today, which for a car of this genuine ability and quality remains a real puzzle. Number 1. Austin Montego Turbo. And finally, number 1. The car that genuinely surprised us when we assembled this list. The Austin Montego Turbo arrived in 1985, and on paper it offered something truly exciting. A turbocharged 2.0-liter O-Series engine producing around 150 brake horsepower gave the Montego a 0 to 60 time of under 8 seconds, considerably faster than most buyers would have expected from an Austin family saloon in the mid-1980s. But here is the strange part: almost nobody bought one. Austin Rover's marketing was cautious and subdued, the Montego badge carried no sporting credibility whatsoever, and buyers seeking performance turned to Ford, Vauxhall, or BMW without hesitation. Production numbers were extremely small. Today, surviving Montego turbos are genuinely rare finds, and those who have driven one describe a surprisingly capable and deeply underappreciated machine. The forgotten hero of British motoring. Let us know in the comments, did you even know this car existed? These cars were part of something real, and they deserve to be remembered. Every car on this list was born in Britain during one of the most turbulent decades in our motoring history. Some were brave experiments, some were missed opportunities, and a few were genuinely excellent machines that simply never received the recognition they deserved. British motoring in the 1980s was imperfect, chaotic, and endlessly interesting. If any of these cars stirred a memory, or one of them surprised you, let us know in the comments below. We read every single comment and would love to hear your stories too. And if you are new here, subscribe to Britain Rewind for more forgotten stories from the roads that shaped this country.